And now the end is near, and so I face.
And it is 8:07 on this Wednesday morning here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. We're live here inside the Suburban Chevrolet Make the Choice Studios, and you know what that music means. That's the intro music. It's my guy, one of my boys, man. I'm proud of all his accomplishments. And he's not even there. It's kind of like the Michigan basketball team winning the Big Ten title last night, right? They're happy.
They did it their way?
They're excited. Yeah, they did it their way. They're happy and they're excited about their accomplishments. But as soon as you say, hey, man, are you happy? You're excited? They say, yeah, but job's not done. We still have steps to take. And that certainly applies to our guy, Marcus Ray. Ray29, how you doing?
Sam, what up, though, man? That's exactly the way I like to talk about that Big Ten championship basketball team, man. They did it their way.
Yeah, they did, Marcus, and first time in 28 years that they can claim a regular season crown. I've done this with everyone that has come on to talk about this team here recently, so I'm not singling you out, but I wonder, what were you saying about this team's prospects when Mitch McGary went down? Did you have them still competing for a Big Ten crown, or did you have them falling far short of that?
You know, well, I'm not really sure what I thought going into it. Because, you know, I definitely didn't have them winning at all, okay? But I needed to see them play without Mitch and without Trey and you know, Hardaway Jr. I didn't know what this team was going to do, honestly. But by the time we got to January, you know, I said this team knows how to win. But I will say that the core guys on this team, they have been there. I think once you've tasted success and you've been on that stage, you should know what to do with it. And for those guys to be so young and to be able to pull something off that no one gave them a shot to do, I just think it's remarkable. Give Beeline a ton of credit for his job of coaching. Smart guy, man, and those kids love playing for him. And they have fun. But they seemed a little more wide open. And then it gave some other guys a chance to prove themselves, like Karis LeVert and Irvin off the bench. And, you know, even Jordan John got a chance to get in there and mix it up. But for some reason, I hate to say it, but they might have been a better team without everybody else. Less is more this year. It just happened to work out that way. And we'll never know what would have happened if Mitch was in there, but we do know what happened without him in there.
Yeah, we do. And, you know, I don't know. Personally, I'm still burning a candle for the possibilities, albeit slight one. You know, John Beeline, we had him on last week, Marcus, and said, hey, you know, is there a chance that Mitch comes back at all? He said, well, we aren't planning for that at all. He said, well, I won't rule it out, but we aren't planning for that at all. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you get a guy like that back in the mix. How do you infuse him into your scenario? Is he just a guy at that point? You say, hey, you come in and you be a role player, or do you try to do things for him? This is a complete hypothetical. I want to stress that this is a hypothetical, but just your take on it as a guy that's played. You get a guy that hasn't played basically for the entire season back. How would you incorporate him?
Well, I think he's going to have to be a role player because that team already has their identity and they've been winning a certain way. But then Mitch does bring some things to the table that definitely could be missing, like some serious post play underneath, as far as muscling guys, having a true center in there who can run the floor and do all the things he did in the tournament. So that's how you utilize Mitch. Plus, you know, play him in spots, low minutes. Definitely, this team, you know, could use Mitch. I'm not saying he comes back that he hasn't had any value, but I'm sure hypothetically Beeline would know exactly what to do with him and how many minutes to play Mitch. But you saw what he did in that tournament last year. He really wasn't a factor until the tournament. And so it probably would end up being the same way this year too.
We're talking to Marcus Ray. And that was, folks, I want to stress again, that was a complete and total hypothetical. But we're talking to Marcus Ray this morning here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. You know, Marcus, you said something that I think bears repeating. You talked about how how impressive it is and how difficult it must have been for a team this young to do what Michigan has done thus far, winning a regular season Big Ten crown. And it's something that I've been harping on because I think had they finished third or fourth, that wouldn't have been a bad job considering the youth. But it speaks to what you just talked about having been there before. I mean, kind of take us into your experience. When you have new guys coming in, let's say you had a young team that hadn't been there before, how difficult is it to get over that hump when you don't have anyone that's experienced that type of success before?
Well, number one, you got to bring in winners. You know, when you recruit winners and great players, they don't have any fear as young players. They don't know anything other than success. And then when you have young players who have been there before, then when you mesh those two together with a great coach, now you have something special because you eliminate all letdowns, all excuses. So, like, when I played at Michigan a long time ago, we knew we had great football teams. Now, we didn't go to the wire, like, up for the Big Ten championship right before we won a national championship. But what did happen, we were in a lot of wars. We were close. You know, we lost to Northwestern twice when we were undefeated. And if that was the one game that would have got us over the hump, I think we would have ran the table. We were out at Penn State in Happy Valley getting hit with snowballs in 95. So we vowed the next time we went out to that stadium, we was going to burn it down. All right? We didn't go public with it. We just kept that in-house and said, you know, the way we got treated and the way, you know, things played out, we owe this team. And every other team that beat us kicked us while we were down. So we were all young. And Rob Payne looked at me after we lost to Alabama in the bowl game, and he said, y'all have a lot of young players on this team that help these seniors end our careers the right way or whatever he said. But the thing I remember the most, he said, y'all shouldn't lose another game. You got too much young talent that have been through the wars, that are out here, you know, scratching and clawing. But y'all should be able to do something special. So once you get some young guys who aren't afraid, who have been through it, paid their dues, and you bring in some kids who are highly touted, who can follow that kind of swag and leadership, then I'm telling you, man, great things happen, Sam.
95, so you're saying 95 and 96 built 97.
Oh, without question. I mean, even the Hail Mary in Colorado, you know, we vowed when we played them we were going to beat them too. And I mean, we were in some games, like I truly only think we lost, in my mind, to Syracuse in 98 and maybe Penn State 95 were the only two games we should have lost the games that I played in or that I was eligible. 94 is a little different. But we should have won every single game when I was at Michigan. Either we got outcoached or Will Carr fumbled on the 1-yard line when Lloyd had him running the ball. He could have gave it to me, but he gave it to Will Carr. He fumbled, tricked the game off against Purdue. So there's a ton of games that we lost that we had zero business losing. And by the time we got a little bit older, we said, you know what? Enough's enough. We're about to run the table.
Marcus, there's going to be a special on Showtime tonight on Greg Harden. We're going to have James Brown coming on after you to talk about that special. But from a former player perspective, kind of give the inside take on how impactful and how important Greg Harden is to the mental development, the maturation process for many of the student athletes that come through the doors over the University of Michigan.
One of the things I'll say about Greg Harden is that he's a great man. He makes everything make sense. And when you walk in the doors, there's a lot of things you don't know, you know, especially when you come from certain neighborhoods and ethnic backgrounds, and you come to Ann Arbor and you go through your culture shock. You feel like the coaches are picking on you, and you shouldn't have came here. And what Greg's able to do is take all of that and reverse that energy and make you think about the long run. Why is this happening now? This is part of the reason why you came here. And he's just he's almost a Zen master, and he's that good mix of old school Detroit street that figured it out, that could relate to corporate America and teach others how to do it and then be successful. I think Greg would have been successful at anything he chose to do, whether he was a pimp, a dope man, a coach, a professor, a doctor, a mayor, whatever Greg chose to do, he would have been good at it because he has a mouthpiece like that, and he relates to people. And he makes all brands of people feel comfortable when they're around Greg Harden and when you talk to him. So,
hey, I kind of made a similar point, maybe not as quite as colorfully as you just did, but he said something about Tom Brady yesterday, and I pointed it out after. He said, "Hey, I didn't know Tom Brady was half man, half amazing." So after he got off, I said, "See, that's an example, folks, of him being able to connect with guys on their level." I said he just used a rap lyric to describe a guy. He just drew a line from a Nas song. Now, how many guys do you know that are going to be able to relate to a kid on that level, and then at the same time, as you said, be able to speak in corporate America?
Yeah, listen, man. Here's how Greg got me. He uses your strengths against you to figure out what your weaknesses are. So one of the first things he said in a meeting we had at Schembechler Hall my freshman year, he said, which one of y'all freshmen in this room right now, in their own mind, believes they are the man, they're the best player in here, and can't nobody do nothing with them? And I was the only person to raise my hand because I honestly believed that. I felt like I was the best player in my class. That's just the way I walked in the door. That's where my swag meter was, and that's where it stayed for a long time. And Greg said, you're the one I'm going to have to watch the most. And I was the only everybody else. I was the only one. You can ask me. I raised my hand. He said, I'm going to have to watch you. It's going to be a tough 3.5 to 4 years. But just by you raising your hand, you're telling me a lot. It's good to know that you think that way. You got a lot to learn. And he was right. And where I thought it was just I was answering the question, he used that as a mechanism to reach me and watch me and say, oh, this kid is telling me a lot about him. He's going to need some guidance. And then throughout my 4 years, Greg was there every step of the way. But he used a question like that to figure out what my needs were going to be. And he has his way of doing that with everyone individually. It's amazing.
Yeah, a great perspective as always. We rely on you for, Marcus. Before you go, I know it's a little shorter segment, but we got JB coming up. So tell folks how they can get their hands on Rays of Light.
Rays of Light, man. We are still moving and shaking. You can email me, mray29@gmail.com. You can always go to mden.com, amazon.com. You can walk into MDN. That's the only store that I wanted to carry my book. You can go to ebooks and, Amazon, Kindle, iBook. I'm doing the digital thing. And you can always call me, too. I'm available, Sam. You called, I didn't answer. Ira, he may text, but it takes me a while to respond. 734-645-9618. And I appreciate the platform, fellas, always.
Yeah,
and congratulations to Coach B-Line.
Yeah, we appreciate you, too, Marcus. Ira Wide Tribe, there are a few times ever where being called a possible good dope man or good pimp is actually a compliment. We got to get to a break. Back on the other side here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050, WTKA, the official voice of University of Michigan.